baseball, at least now, is poised to be and is in the driver's seat to be the first major sport back, right? Of the NBA, the NHL, MLB. Right now, MLB, their wheels are turning the most to where you can have them resume hopefully by July 1st or somewhere around that. And really, right now, when you read the safety precautions, when you see an outline of a schedule, 82 games, expanded playoffs, right now, the only thing seemingly that could hold up baseball and prevent it from happening in 2020 is money. The players don't want a second pay cut. The owners want a second pay cut to try to prevent all the hemorrhaging of cash that's really going out of their pockets right now. And what the owners want is a 50-50 split in revenue, which is something that never happens. In every other sport, NHL, NBA, and NFL, the percentage of revenue is split between the owners and the players. You know, whether it's 50-50, whether it's 47-53, there is a percentage where, okay, let's say we make $4 billion. NBA is 50-50. Okay, these players are going to get $2 billion, and that's what's going to go into account for salaries. MLB does not do that. And the reason why the players are against it, especially now, is because, well, they don't split the revenue when the money's increasing, when the money's coming in and constantly growing. Well, we don't split that money. But now that we're at a loss, now that we're losing money, all of a sudden now the owners want to share in those losses. And the players are like, we don't want to share in the losses. And I think that highlighted Blake Snell. So we talked about him on Thursday, but I just want to play the audio. It's about a minute long. He was on his own Twitch stream on Wednesday, and he was asked basically, you're going to play, what's your thought on this proposal? And this is what Blake Snell had to say. And as you can hear, very against taking a second pay cut.
For me to take a pay cut is not happening because the risk is through the roof. It's a shorter season, less pay. Like, bro, I gotta get my money. I'm not playing unless I get mine. Just saying, man, it just doesn't make sense for me to lose all of that money and then go play and then be on lockdown, not around my family, not around the people I love, and get paid way the hell less. And then the risk of injury runs every time I step on the field. So it's not worth it. It's not. I love baseball to death. It's just not worth it. Y'all got to understand, too, because y'all going to be like, bro, Blake, play for the love of the game, man. What's wrong with you, bro? Money should not be a thing. Bro, I'm risking my life. What do you mean it should not be a thing? It 100% should be a thing. If I'm going to play, I should be getting the money I signed to be getting paid. I should not be getting half of what I'm getting paid because the season's cut in half.
So there, as you can hear, Blake Snell, the Tampa Bay Rays starting pitcher, very, very against a revenue 50-50 split and very against a second pay cut that would come if the players were to basically give what the owners want and then take a second pay cut to get back on the field. Now, Bryce Harper, a very prominent name, a very big superstar, backed up Snell. He basically said someone had to say it and that the players don't want to take a second pay cut. And at least for me, when it's going to come down to a battle now, right? Obviously, I want baseball back like every other baseball fan wants baseball back. So I'm not going to die in the hill of the players saying, basically I'm okay with them not playing this year. I think it would be catastrophic for baseball if it is not played this year because of money. If strictly money is the reason why baseball is not played in 2020, the sport is in a huge, huge problem going forward. But as you can see, it's going to come down between the players and the owners who's going to budge first. And really, you got to pick a side now. Who's it going to be? I'm taking the player side. I'm backing the players, and this is why. Number one, they've already made their sacrifice. You heard Blake Snell say it. Back in March, the Players Association agreed to prorate their salaries with the amount for the amount of games they actually played. So back in March, obviously the coronavirus shuts down spring training. We're not sure how much of a season is going to be played. There's still a thought that maybe you can fit in a full season, just push it back a little bit. There's some thought that maybe we'll play 100 games, 130 games, 140 games. Back in March, there's no clue. But the players did with the owners, they both signed an agreement saying however many games we play in 2020, that will be our salary. So now the proposal that's laid out there, 82 games. Let's just say for math and argument's sake, a half the season, right? So now players have already agreed to cut their salary in half. So if you're supposed to get paid $10 million to play 162 games, right now you already agreed and now you'll get paid $5 million to play 82 games. Seems fair. Seems reasonable, right? Okay. You're only going to get paid for the amount of games you play. Fair. But what the players are asking for is that they're not looking for a pay raise. They're not looking to get their full 162 game check. They're not asking if you're supposed to get paid $10 million and now it's going to be $5 million. They're not asking to get $10 million. All they're asking is to not get a second pay cut. They've already made their sacrifice. They've took the pay cut. Their salary is halved. So they already did their part. How come now the owners aren't being held to the same standard? How come the owners aren't being the ones that are going, being forced to take a pay cut of their own? It's weird and funny because at least on social media, I've seen there's a lot of blowback, as you could imagine, because maybe Blake Snell didn't articulate it the best way, didn't really make it sound. It did sound greedy. I'll say that. I think the message is right. Maybe wasn't delivered the best way, but I think his message at the core is correct. The owners right now floated this 50-50 revenue idea out there because they knew the players weren't going to like it. And what they wanted for the players to do is basically what they're doing now. Be vocal, be upset, and voice their displeasure with having to take a second pay cut. Notice how 0 owners right now. Look around the league. Show me one owner. You can't find one that is speaking out about the revenue 50-50 split. You know why none of them are doing it? Because they see the players talking, and this is what they want. They want the players complaining. They want millionaires complaining about salary. Because right now, as we know, it is tough economically. It's tough everywhere in this country because jobs are getting slashed, pay is getting cut, benefits are getting lost, unemployment's going through the roof. So right now, people are losing jobs and losing salaries. So the last thing anyone wants to hear is millionaires complaining about the salary they're getting. So that's why the billionaires aren't saying anything. They realize, look at the blowback the millionaires are getting for complaining. Imagine us billionaires complaining and trying to cry poor and try to have millionaires take a second pay cut. It would be, the pushback and the blowback would be so strong. That's why the owners aren't saying anything. So right now, at least I understand that right now the only ones speaking are the millionaires that are complaining. But don't lose the fact that the billionaires are the ones that are forcing a second pay cut for their employees. They want to save as much money as possible. They're really the bad guys here. They're the ones who have all the money. They're now trying to, cut them off the top and again, trying to save as much money as they possibly can by forcing their employees to take a second, not one pay cut, a second pay cut in order to get back on the field. Let's also not lose the fact that the players are the ones taking the risk here. You hear Blake Snell say he's risking his life. And I know there's been a lot of talk and a lot of pushback about you really shouldn't put a price on your health. If you're scared of your health and you're not going to play, or you're going to take the risk and you're going to play. The money should be irrelevant. And this is what I'm going to say, because I disagree with that logic. You have to have the risk, or you have to have the reward worth the risk. If the risk is high, if you're risking getting coronavirus, which especially if you're an athlete, sure, you're at lesser, statistically, you're really not in the at-risk category. You're young, you're healthy. So theoretically, if you were to contract the virus, stats say you should be able to get through it no problem. It's not as life and death as if you were have pre-existing medical conditions or if you're older age. There's so many at-risk groups that we see that are way more in danger if they get the virus compared to just players. So again, who are at the peak of their physical shape and are very young. But it's still a risk. I mean, just because you're 30 years old and in the best shape of your life doesn't mean you can't get extremely sick and have lasting effects from this virus. There's still a massive risk going out on the field than playing in the midst of a pandemic, in the midst of not having a vaccine. So you can put all the social distancing outlines and guidelines you want in the game. It's not going to help the fact that, guess what? The risk is still there. You still, every single time you walk on the field, have a chance to contract the virus. And if you don't get sick, you're still with your family members. You still risk giving to them, and maybe they're at risk. You have Nationals closer Sean Doolittle. His wife has asthma. And he was saying, I personally will be fine. If I get it, I should be okay. But if I get it and give it to her, she's more at risk. So there absolutely is a risk. And sure, you can't put a price on health. I understand. If they're taking a risk, you got to make the reward worth it. I don't know any of us that would go to work where our pay has been cut 2 different times and you're still having to risk going to work, right? I'll speak selfishly for myself. If my pay was cut in half and now my bosses are forcing me to take a second pay cut, it's still just to go to work. And the risk is still high, right? I'm still going into New York City. I'm still coming in contact with some people. So sure, I have a chance. And again, I'm 25 years old, good health, knock on wood. So theoretically, if I get it, it shouldn't be the end of the world. But we don't know that. And not to mention, it's still, if I don't get sick, but if I live with my parents, what if they get sick? So yeah, It's not worth the risk. If you're getting pennies on the dollar, it absolutely is not the risk. It's worth the risk. At least if you're getting paid what you're supposed to get paid and what you agreed upon to, it makes it easier to swallow. At least in my mind, personally. And finally, the reason why I think the reason why I'm siding with the owners, I'm siding with the players, not the owners, is because owners can make this lost money back. Baseball right now has a very unique opportunity. If they resume, and the NBA will hear in the NBA within a week or two, if they are going to try to come back this summer or they're just going to wait till 2020, 2021, and basically cancel the rest of the season and move to next year. Baseball has a chance, if NBA does that, to be the only sport played for a very long time. Because right now, I'll be honest, the future of football, I think a season will be played. I have my doubts that it's going to be played on time. So right now, between July and September, at least, at the earliest, baseball could be the only sport back for a while. And guess what baseball has been trying to do for the longest time? Cater themselves, market themselves to a younger fan base. There's a huge, huge disconnect between the young audience that is going to the NBA, that's going to the NFL, that's not going to baseball. And you see Rob Manfred trying his best, whether it's trying to speed up the game, trying to add more home runs in by juicing the baseball. Baseball is doing so many different things to tweak the game to make it more appealing to the young audience. Guess what? If you're the only sport back, if we are on July 4th, the only thing you have to watch, the only distraction that's out there is baseball. You're going to reach so many different audiences that you normally wouldn't get, that are watching playoff basketball, that are watching playoff hockey, that are, locked into the NFL network, basically getting ready for training camp and getting ready for the NFL once their season starts to ramp up. Baseball has a chance now to cater to all those different audiences that normally wouldn't watch. So guess what that happens? Guess what? Baseball gets a few fans here and there. You make some life, you open up the sport and you present the sport to maybe kids that wouldn't watch it. Or kids who don't grow up in a family that's baseball fans. And now all of a sudden there's nothing else to watch. We'll throw in whatever game of the week is on. You reach different audiences, you grow the game and get more fans, you will reap the rewards going forward. Once fans are allowed back, once everything returns to normal, you'll keep those fans, which means more fans are going to the ballpark. More fans are spending money on tickets and parking and merchandise. More fans are following your social media accounts. You know what that means? More revenue for the owners. And guess what? The lifetime of the ownership of a team is a hell of a lot longer than it is for players in their playing career. Right? Best case scenario, absolute best case scenario, they have an insanely great Hall of Fame career, let's say 20 years. You have 20 years to make as much money as you possibly can for the rest of your life and set your family up. Owners, their rule over a team, for the most part, lasts a lot longer than that. So they're financially able to kind of have a down year or two, wait it out, and make up that money as you go along. TV deals, when they have to renew, guess what? If more people watching the game, those TV deals are going up. More fans are going to the ballpark. Guess what? Your revenue is going up. It's possible and definitely likely that the owners will make up the money and make up these losses if they resume, and their only sport to resume, their only sport to be played this summer, and basically provide a beacon of hope, provide a light to this country that, you know what, we are starting to return to normal. You know, we are starting to get there, and you know what, changes are made, and baseball coming back at least is something we all can latch onto. We all can use that as a distraction. We all can watch. I mean, think about it. I was on Twitter last night, and every Sunday, the last 5 Sundays, the only thing being tweeted about is The Last Dance. I follow a ton of people. Everything you look at all the trending, the hashtags that are trending, it's all Last Dance related. You know why? Because there's nothing else to watch. So we rarely watch something together as a group. Baseball could be that. Baseball returns. Whether it's teams, whether it's players, whether it's MLB itself, will be all over social media, all over TVs. That's all SportsCenter. That's all ESPN. That's all Fox Sports is going to be able to cover. Baseball. You'll be on every TV in America. So the owners will have a great, great, great chance to make up this lost revenue if they just suck it up, take over for the team, let the players keep their already sacrificed salary, and get back on the field in 2020. That's what's more important, a short-term loss to build for a long-term gain. So that's for me. That's why I'm on the side of the players. I think the players are absolutely right in not trying to take and not wanting a second pay cut. They've made their sacrifice. They're the ones taking the risk. And the owners have the ability to make up the money in the long run more than the players who make up for their lost salaries.